Have you ever wondered about the man who changed the world forever? The one whose story has echoed through millennia, inspiring billions. Today, we journey back in time, over 2,000 years, to explore the extraordinary life of Jesus Christ. Our story begins not in a grand palace, but in the humble town of Bethlehem. A bright star shone in the sky, guiding wise men from the east to a simple stable. There, they found a newborn baby named Jesus, born to a young woman named Mary and her husband, Joseph. It was a modest beginning for someone whose life would become the most told story in history. As a boy, Jesus grew up in Nazareth. Like other children, he played and learned. But even from a young age, there was something special about him. At 12, he was found in a temple in Jerusalem, astonishing the learned teachers with his wisdom and understanding of the scriptures. He told his worried parents, "Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house?" This was a glimpse of the great purpose that lay ahead. When Jesus was about 30, he traveled to the Jordan River. There, he was baptized by his cousin, John the Baptist. As Jesus came up out of the water, the heavens opened, and the Spirit of God descended like a dove and settled on him. A voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." This marked the beginning of his public ministry. Following his baptism, Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days and nights. There, he faced great trials and temptations, preparing himself for the mission ahead. Emerging stronger, he began to travel throughout the region of Galilee, teaching, healing, and sharing a message of love, forgiveness, and hope. Jesus' teachings were revolutionary. He spoke in parables, simple stories with deep spiritual meanings that everyone could understand. He taught about a loving God whom he called Father. He shared the Beatitudes, blessings for the poor in spirit, the merciful, and the peacemakers. His most famous sermon, the Sermon on the Mount, laid out a radical new way of life, one based on humility, compassion, and turning the other cheek instead of seeking revenge. He called 12 ordinary men fishermen, a tax collector, and others to be his closest followers, his disciples. He taught them, guided them, and prepared them to carry on his work. Together, they traveled from village to village, and Jesus' reputation grew. Everywhere he went, great crowds followed him, drawn by his powerful words and incredible deeds. People brought their sick and suffering to him, and he healed them. He gave sight to the blind, helped the lame to walk, and comforted those who were in despair. His miracles were signs of a divine power at work. One of the most famous miracles was the feeding of the 5,000. With only 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish, Jesus fed a massive crowd with plenty of food left over. This act showed not just his power, but his immense compassion for people's needs, both spiritual and physical. He also demonstrated power over nature, calming a furious storm with just a few words, leaving his disciples in awe and asking, "Who is this?" Even the wind and the waves obey him. But not everyone was happy with Jesus' growing influence. His teachings challenged the established religious leaders of the day. He spoke of an inner faith over outward rituals and welcomed everyone, including those considered outcasts by society. This created tension and opposition. As the time of the Passover festival approached, Jesus and his disciples made their way to Jerusalem. He entered the city riding on a donkey, as crowds waved palm branches and shouted, "Hosanna," hailing him as a king. It was a moment of triumph, but Jesus knew that a difficult path lay ahead. In Jerusalem, he shared a final meal with his disciples, which is now known as the Last Supper. During this meal, he washed their feet, a powerful lesson in humility and service. He broke bread and shared wine, telling them to do this in remembrance of him, establishing a sacred tradition that continues to this day. He also foretold that one of them would betray him. Later that night, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus prayed, struggling with the immense weight of what was to come. It was there that he was betrayed by one of his own disciples, Judas Iscariot, and arrested by the temple guards. Jesus was put on trial, accused of blasphemy and of claiming to be a king. Despite a lack of real evidence, the pressure from the crowds and the leaders was immense. The Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, reluctantly sentenced him to crucifixion, the harshest punishment of the time. Jesus was forced to carry his own cross through the streets of Jerusalem to a hill called Golgotha. There, he was crucified between two criminals. Even in his final moments, his words were of forgiveness. "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." As he breathed his last, the sky grew dark and the earth shook. It seemed like the end of hope. His body was taken down from the cross and laid in a borrowed tomb, sealed with a massive stone. His followers were devastated, their hopes shattered. Fettered, hiding in fear and grief. The story seemed to have reached its tragic conclusion. But the story doesn't end there. 3 days later, some of the women who followed Jesus went to the tomb to anoint his body. When they arrived, they were shocked to find the huge stone rolled away and the tomb empty. An angel appeared and told them the incredible news. "He is not here. He has risen, just as he said." Overjoyed and bewildered, they ran to tell the disciples. At first, they were skeptical, but soon, Jesus himself appeared to them. He appeared to Mary Magdalene in the garden, to 2 disciples on the road to Emmaus, and to the apostles gathered in a locked room. He showed them the wounds in his hands and his side, proving he was truly alive. For 40 days, the risen Jesus appeared to his followers, teaching them and giving them a great commission to go into all the world and share his message of love, forgiveness, and eternal life. He promised he would always be with them, and then he ascended into heaven. The disciples, once fearful and scattered, were now filled with a new boldness and purpose. They began to preach the story of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, and the Christian faith was born. A small movement that began in a corner of the Roman Empire spread like wildfire, transforming hearts and lives across the world. The life of Jesus Christ is a story of incredible love, profound sacrifice, and ultimate triumph. It's a message that continues to offer hope, inspire kindness, and change lives to this very day. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. If this story touched you, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more animated stories that have shaped our world. We'll see you next time.